The affirmative uses the example of Bernie Sanders as a reason the Electoral College is faulty, noting that he is an independent that was forced to join the Democratic ticket and thus cannot get elected because he has to abide by the two-party system. However, these claims made by the affirmative are unfounded, considering Sanders has been widely successful relative to many other Democratic candidates in both the 2016 campaign and his current 2020 presidential bid. As of only a few days ago, Sanders' team announced that he will still participate in the Democratic primary debate next month, coronavirus allowing, and his campaign is still up in arms and fighting. Furthermore, the affirmative claims, quote, "The Electoral College makes it impossible for anyone outside of our two-party system to get elected. But while the popular vote may not 100% solve this problem, it will give a voice to the outliers." Where we refute this claim, noting that the popular vote does the exact opposite of give a voice to the outliers. The popular vote works to squander the voice of minority groups. It should be noted that the affirmative, 1, admits the popular vote would not solve this issue, and 2, has lacked any substantial plan to reorder our voting system that would solve these necessary components. Moving on, the affirmative claims that the Electoral College does not uphold the Founding Fathers' vision for our nation. However, this is false. As noted in the Open Political Science Journal, when the Electoral College is located within a constitutional structure that continues to reflect Madison's compound ratio of popular impulse expressed through state units, the answer is yes. Yes, meaning it does reflect the vision of the Founding Fathers, particularly James Madison. Additionally, the affirmative makes outrageous claims that the partisanship in this country cannot possibly get any worse than the current state. This is an unwarranted claim that they cannot possibly back up with any evidence because they cannot predict the future state of affairs in this country. However, there is past precedent for our country becoming increasingly divided. People on both sides of the political spectrum are more divided than ever. Statistically, they even consume goods in different patterns. For example, cars and news media. Another unfounded claim by the affirmative is that the nation will somehow rally to support groups like farmers because, quote, "America's motivation to protect the farming industry transcends the election structure." I would like them to present, 1, where this common American motivation is found, and 2, this imaginary American motivation, even if it did actually exist, unfortunately would not be upheld if the affirmative got what they would like, which is to get rid of the Electoral College. The Electoral College, unlike their plan of hoping people will do the right thing, actually gives Americans in rural counties real representation. Most importantly, the affirmative would like the audience to draw a direct line from Electoral College to global health crises, or the current COVID-19 crisis. By this logic, you could draw any disaster that has happened in America's history to the Electoral College, in which I remind the affirmative that correlation does not equal causation. The Electoral College, rendering Trump president, did not cause the coronavirus outbreak, just in the same way that George W. Bush being elected did not cause Hurricane Katrina. Any president elected in any manner can make, in hindsight, poor decisions such as cutting CDC funding. For example, the majority of the time, the popular vote aligned with the Electoral College in presidential elections. Does this being in line somehow stop national disasters? History would certainly prove otherwise. For example, when Obama won the popular vote and the Electoral College, yet there was still the Great Recession of 2008. Finally, it is noted the affirmative has conceded that the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact is wholly dangerous, and furthermore, their example of an imaginary New York Republican having no incentive to vote due to the majority of New York-leaning Democrat backs up our stance that majority tyranny is the problem and the popular vote would only increase this issue. If the affirmative is worried about the harms of public health crises like COVID-19, the last thing our country should do in this time is rattle the stability that the Electoral College has provided for our nation. Finally, returning to the claim that passing an amendment is a simple process, we assert this claim has no solvency. The affirmative is reminded that there has been around 2,000 amendments proposed since our Constitutional Convention, and of those 2,000, only 27 has been added to the Constitution.